Today is our day 3 of Max and the Gatekeeper. So, just a little review from the last reading. Cindy and the giant beast Elle were running away from the Xenozis that were coming after them in a hovercraft, and they darted into a cave, and that's where they are right now. Cindy slid off Elle's wet back. She twisted the ends of her shirt and hair to wring out the water. Through the waterfall, everything became a distorted blur. If the Xenozis were close, they hadn't seen where she and Elle had gone. Elle breathed heavily as he rested on the cool cavern floor. Cindy walked to him and laid her hand on his neck. Maybe we should go. Maybe you should go. If they're after me, you might be able to get away. Elle pierced her with sad eyes. No, I won't let them capture you. How far behind us were they? Cindy didn't get to finish her thought. Beyond the waterfall, something flew by, and she knew they were out there. They wanted her, and they weren't giving up. The only way out of this was through the gateway. Suddenly, there was a lot of activity in the area. Through the waterfall, distorted ships zipped by, and blurry Xenozis traveled up the river. In a matter of minutes, a squad began scouring the area. Elle got up and crept towards the waterfall. Cindy put her hand on his side. Can you understand them? A little, but I have to hear them. The loud rumbling of the waterfall is making it difficult. Hovercrafts buzzed by every few minutes. Xenozi studied the ground and the river but didn't pay any attention to the waterfall. The old trick of hiding our tracks in the river might have worked, Elle mused. I thought everyone knew that trick. So did I. The squad searched closer to the waterfall, but the waterfall didn't seem to concern them. When they were within a few yards of the falls, Cindy could barely hear them speaking. Remove your hand for a second, Elle ordered, and Cindy lowered her arm. Cindy and Elle listened to the Xenozis. They continued to get closer, and their voices grew loud enough for Cindy to distinguish different speakers. Then, their conversations faded as they proceeded upstream. Elle faced Cindy, so she touched his neck. They were talking about us. They're interested in you. I would just be a bonus. Did they say what they want with me? They see you as a rare animal and are excited about displaying you in their arena. We better wait here until night. Later, I'll take you to where I first picked up your scent. When the Xenozis departed, Elle asked, How did you get here? Cindy explained all about the gateway, Grandpa and Max. She told him about the other worlds and how they could travel to them through the gateway. She also mentioned to him about magic and how she was learning to use it, and about the fight between good and evil. She then apologized for burning his backside. The Xenozis practiced dark magic, Elle informed her. Beyond the waterfall, the sun began to set and the sky was a deep purple-gray color. They hadn't seen anything since the Xenozis left. Cindy, do you think you could take me to another world? Here, the Xenozis hunt my kind. I'm not sure. Cindy could detect Elle's disappointment. But I will try. I know Grandpa has transferred others to better places. We will delay a while longer, Elle thought. He lay down and Cindy sat with her back against the wall. Cindy was cold and the damp air behind the waterfall kept her from drying out. Her stomach rumbled and she wondered if Elle was hungry too. Why hadn't Grandpa and Max shown up yet? She was angry with them. She had been running for her life for 2 days, and they didn't seem to care. Exhaustion swept through her, but she was too cold to sleep. She shivered and wrapped her arms around her sides. Elle walked to her and lowered his head. It's too cold for you here. You're freezing. I'll be right back. I'm going to check things out. Cindy nodded, and Elle entered the waterfall. His gigantic body caused the water to splash everywhere as he went through the falls, and the spray added to Cindy's misery. She hoped everything was quiet so they could go somewhere warmer. She didn't want to spend 2 nights in a row in wet clothes. After a short wait, the waterfall parted and Elle reappeared. Cindy was happy he didn't shake like a dog and douse her even more. He acted strange, so she got to her feet and put a hand on his back. What's wrong? Cindy asked. I'm not sure. I can't find any sign of them, but something doesn't feel right. I think the area is being watched. What should we do? We need to get you dry and warm. You will get soaked again when we leave. The sooner we get it over with, the better. Cindy agreed. She had forgotten that she would get drenched on the way out, and she was dreading it. Elle lowered his belly to the floor, and Cindy climbed on. The air is warm tonight. It should help you feel better. Cindy didn't reply, but settled into a comfortable position. Elle rose to his feet and leapt through the waterfall with an incredible burst of speed. Cold water swept over them and in a second was gone. It felt like a shower of nails hit her. It was so cold, the warm air offered a little comfort in the way of instant relief. Can we find some of those fruits we ate earlier? Cindy thought. Some food might heat her up. If it's safe. Elle stepped out of the river onto the shore. He crept along, sniffing the air. Cindy was happy to have Elle because she couldn't tell if there was anything out there. They moved only a short distance when Elle stopped. His head swung in all directions. What is it? Cindy's heart pounded in her chest like a bass drum. I sensed something. Elle froze in his tracks, as if he expected something to happen. When he started forward again, it was with slow, cautious steps. Every few feet he would pause to listen. Cindy tightened her jaw to prevent her teeth from chattering. Something is out here, and I don't know which direction to go. Elle roared with venom as something lifted Cindy from his back and propelled her through the air. She couldn't use her arms as the object carried her higher. The buzzing of hovercrafts zipped around her, but she was rising so rapidly she couldn't tell how many there were. She glanced down to see her arms fastened to her body by cords. She came to an abrupt stop that jarred her whole body. She lay on the top of a hovercraft. There was an area for a driver and railings around the edge. A Zenozi seized her shoulders and dragged her across the deck. There was a hole in the center of the craft, like a blige of a ship, which the Zenozis dropped her through. She fell several feet and landed with another hard crash into a cage. With her arms tied, she couldn't break her fall and landed face first. Unlike a blige, the walls were not solid, but rather still bars. She was able to see the world around her. Hovercrafts zoomed everywhere, but what caught Cindy's attention were Elle's roars. It wasn't the call of a proud beast, but the cry of an animal in pain. She struggled to her feet and leaned against the bars. Down on the jungle floor, the Zenozis surrounded Elle. They held weapons that resembled spears. Every time they struck Elle, he howled in pain, and a bright blue spark crackled in the air. The Zenozis appeared to be enjoying his agony. Elle tried to fight, but they greatly outnumbered him. Every time he lunged at a Zenozi, 2 or 3 would shock him with their staves. "Leave him alone!" she hollered. But this seemed to further excite the Zenozis. More joined the game with different weapons. Whenever they hit Elle with one of these, Elle yelped and a large patch of hair would disappear. A rage churned and boiled through Cindy's veins, like never before. She wanted this horrible scene to end. Elle had become her friend, and she hated that they caused him to suffer. As she registered the happy faces of the Zenozis, they seemed twisted and vicious. This infuriated her more. A flood of anger erupted from her lips. "Primakni!" she screamed with all of her might. The spell hammered into Elle's attackers, throwing them like rag dolls in every direction. A few crashed into trees, while others slammed to the ground. "Run, Elle!" Elle gave her a quick glance before he fled into the jungle. Cindy's power stunned the Zenozis so that they let Elle go, and all eyes turned to Cindy. She hated the way they glared at her. Those stares frightened her. She could sense an evil that she never knew existed. Cindy looked away after Ella had escaped. The fact that she helped him get away brought her some satisfaction. Although she worried about her situation, she sat with her back against the bars and gazed at the floor. She was cold and alone. A Zenozi lowered a ladder into the cage, and the 2 of them descended it. Cindy hadn't seen them up close before. The ordeal with Elle had distracted her, but now she got a good picture. They wore black uniforms over their rubbery skin. Their eyes were black marble, void of any expression, and a nose that was more like a bump than a nose. Their mouths had rows of round, cone-shaped teeth. One grabbed her and forced her face down on the floor, digging his knee into her back. He clutched her ponytail and pulled her head back. The second fastened a device around her head that made it impossible for her to speak. Then they released her and disappeared up the ladder. All right, we are going to stop there for the day. Bye, guys.